Right, so we've already had a look at one-point perspective. We've learnt about how we have a vanishing point, we draw the front of the shape and then have converging lines going out to the vanishing point, which creates that feeling of disappearing in the distance, which you would be able to see if you could simply think about the last time you stood at a railway station and you looked down the tracks, or if you looked at a road and the road got smaller. It's an optical illusion, which adds a lot of detail and realism to your work once you can really embed it in your work. Now, two-point perspective is even closer to real life. So in this particular case, I'm going to have my horizon line over there. So I've got my horizon line. Now, two-point perspective, there is my vanishing point. Now, in one-point perspective, of course, that would be all I need. However, because we're in two-point perspective, there is vanishing point 1 and there's vanishing point 2. Two-point perspective, two vanishing points. And here's how it works. Now, for one-point perspective, you started off with the shape from the front. Here, you start off with a leading edge. And then you do exactly what you did before, in that you get very, very gentle lines heading towards those. I trust you can see those. So that's the first step. Now the next step is to draw your sort of lines of depth. That's not the correct word for them, but anyway. Now in this case they need to be exactly the same. Now I could sketch these roughly by hand, but I want to really show this being correct. So I'm using a ruler, which I usually don't do. I'm not against rulers, I just think they can make you a bit paranoid. So that's the next step. Please note those were exactly the same lengths. It's very important. Now when I draw that line, that should be parallel. You see those three? They should be parallel. And what I now do is I connect the tops and the tops, and then there we go. So let me draw another one. In fact, I'm going to draw it over here. And this is something you can do with your drawing, where you can actually just fill the page. Now, I'm not going to draw through the previous one. That's enough. Now, I'm going to start just drawing freehand here. Although I will use the ruler. There we go. I could draw one from this side, but it will be the same. Same rules apply. Now, what if I draw exactly in the middle of the horizon? So you know with the last one, we had this one, which was in the middle of the horizon, so you couldn't see the bottom or the top. Well, the same rules apply. First of all, get those edges. Now, of course, I don't normally, as you know, rub things out. I try to avoid that. However, for this, I want it to look more realistic. And that's what it would look like. And there, I think what I'll do now, just to make things easier, is I'll actually draw my horizon line like so, so that you've got a bit of a visual reference over there. And of course, let me just stick one up here. Same rules apply. And this is not just sort of an art technique. This is actually used in designing. Certainly, if you were going into architecture, you would definitely use this technique, without a doubt. Now I just finish my connecting. It also is quite satisfying, to be honest. I rather enjoy it. So I'll just finish these off. I've gone slightly, whoops, slightly off there. That's okay, because the point of this, what I'm doing right now, isn't to get perfect drawing, it's to demonstrate a solid understanding of the rules. Because if you understand the rules, you can start playing. And you can start incorporating it. Now, if you want to have a bit of fun, what you can also do is add that thick, thin line. This isn't a two-point perspective technique, of course, it's just a bit of fun, and it makes your drawings look a bit more, they pop out more. So this would be far more realistic. So if we go back to one-point perspective, it's got that degree of realism, but the fact is we don't see with one vanishing point. Two-point perspective looks far more realistic. You do also then get three-point perspective. I'm not going to go into that right now, but if you've done this and you found this really easy and you would like to just have some more fun with it, have a look at some tutorials on three-point perspective, and that's pretty cool. However, the next tutorial that I would give you is how you use this in your actual sketching, your real design sketching. Because of course just doing blocks is pointless. Just like if you did a musical instrument, playing scales all day would be pointless if that's all you did. However, if you were learning scales in order to play the music better, that makes sense. Likewise, if you were doing a sport, I don't know, let's just say you played ice hockey. If all you did was did drills and skills, but never played a game, that would be a bit pointless. However, if you did your drills in order to play better, that makes sense. So these are drills, they aren't the final product, but in order to be able to get that final product really slick and actually easy and fun to do the drills.